Hi, and welcome to my channel. So, for today's video, I keep seeing these things on TikTok called ACEOs. So we're going to make a couple just quick little sketches with graphite. I've already pulled up a few reference images, and we're going to have themes. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining or making excuses, but if you're one of the handful of people that watch my videos every week, first, thank you for following my art journey with me, but also you may have noticed that I went MIA for 2 weeks. I briefly mentioned in my last video that life in my household has been hectic. Well, that was sort of understated. Essentially, what happened was my fiance broke his hand while moving furniture. Then 2 or 3 days later, Clover, our dog, matched him by slicing her Dukla pad on what we can only assume was ice, because it was a clean slice. And this all took place when we had all of that snow and ice, that the snow froze into ice in like one night, and our roads and lawns and everything just turned into a choppy block of ice, basically. She had her stitches removed a week later, then chewed it back open 2 days after that. She only had those 2 days off leash because of the open wound. We have a fenced-in yard. We normally just let her out when she whines at the door, and then we let her back in when she whines to come back inside. Let's see. So I've been taking her for a walk in the morning and then 2 to 3 more when I get home from work throughout the night before bed. And Will is slowly needing less help with everything now that he's in a brace, but still needs help with things like hygiene, and I've been doing all the cooking lately and just random tasks. So taking care of both of them, still keeping up with the house. We do have 2 cats, and I have a job and taking care of myself. So with all of that going on, I have had to begrudgingly put my channel on hold. No, that's not for lack of trying. I just haven't had the chance to come and make art. I did start the video while I had the time. You can see my nail colors changed. I am wearing the same sweater though. I wanted to keep some consistency. I'm finally able to do my nails again and start playing catch up on the housework, and trying and somewhat failing to revive my neglected houseplants. So I can finally get back to the channel a little bit more now that, life updates are out of the way. You might be wondering what this video is even about. I mentioned it briefly in the beginning. And then also why I'm drawing so tiny. I've learned about ACEOs on TikTok, and I got locked into it. ACEOs, or Art Cards, Editions, and Originals, with a huge emphasis on originals. Even though it's in the acronym, apparently there is a lot of debate on if prints, also known as editions, in case we didn't put that connection together, are even acceptable. These are basically Pokemon cards, but for art, or rather people who want to own art, I guess. The only thing that is really strict about it is that they must be the size of a standard playing card, which is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. From what I understand, it's basically a way for art enthusiasts of any kind with any budget to get decent quality art made by real people. Michael's craft store is selling AI art now. So based on the ACEO side of TikTok, the main market for these is on eBay and some TikTok shop, but not as much. I was originally trying to explain this with my fiance in the same room, So I'll include that audio clip here for the giggles real fast, because listening back to it, it has me cracking up now too. ACEO. Art Card
Executive
Editions.
Officer.
No, Originals and Editions or something like that. I'll include it in post. Clover, what's wrong? You want to play with Mabel?
She agrees with Daddy as CEO as a chief executive. So wait, they're like Pokemon?
Yes. But they're normally original art. You can do prints, but for some reason the community frowns upon it, even though it is in the name. So I'm gonna... I might actually have to keep some of this in. This is kind of gold. For my ACOs here, I am trying to just do quick sketches with the theme. I measured out the cards on a piece of sketch paper and cut them into strips for the time being, just to make them a bit easier to hold as I draw. I just left them as strips in my circumstance for the time being. I did end up cutting them. You'll see that later. I'll likely do a few more batches of these cards off camera before I list them, but when I do, I will make sure to include a link to find them in the comments. Because this set is on flimsy sketchbook paper, I'll be attaching these with glue tape, which, if you're not familiar, it's like glue dots and a whiteout tape dispenser, basically, is the best way I can describe it. And I'll be attaching that onto like sturdier scrapbook paper for a bit more rigidity. By the way, in case you didn't see the theme yet, I am going for farm animals with 3 of each. So we have 3 pigs, 3 cows, and 3 horses. I don't particularly love all of them. I do have a favorite out of each batch, to be honest with you. But again, this is just kind of quick sketches, trying to keep it so that I don't get too attached to them, to be honest with you. I do have a hard time detaching myself from my art. So that's kind of why I'm not putting so much energy into it this time around, and trying to get more used to doing these tiny drawings, and then I'll start listing them as a huge batch. I do eventually want to sell these. I also want to quickly mention, before we get into the next topic, that these reference images were all from Facebook groups found on free reference images for artists. I'm in a few groups. I don't use all of them very often. The groups that I use the most often are called Free Reference Photos for Artists, and then Free Reference Animal Images for Artists. And then there's also Photo Inspiration for Artists dash Free Reference. And there's also Library of Reference Photos for Artists. And then there's another one, Artists Photos Free to Use for Artwork Only. And then in parentheses, please agree to group rules and end parentheses. So very specific. Those are the ones that I use in case you wanted to look for some that aren't just off of Google or Pinterest, especially if you're trying to create artwork to profit off of. Or if you just want to draw something and you don't have access to it in your local area, or it's hard to photograph that particular thing. Since most, if not all, of this video is voiceover, though, I did want to reach out to those of you who watch my channel or like this video and plan to continue watching my channel, and ask what, if any, kind of artsy videos you wanted to see coming up. I do have a bunch planned, pretty much enough to fill the rest of the year, but I also wanted to reach out and see if those of you that watch my channel, if there's anything specific that you'd want to see. I've been contemplating doing more vloggy style videos, where I'm showing more of my process for things like sealing and framing my artwork, or reorganization video where I sort and try and declutter some of my supplies, because I really need to do that. There's also one of my New Year's resolutions that really relates to my art, is to use up some of what I have already that I don't use or I haven't used it on my channel yet. And I have actually in the next video coming out that really heavily relates. It's actually next week's video. But let me know in the comments if anything along those lines you'd like to see, or if there's anything art related that you would like to see me do or just show y'all. Going back to the current video that I mentioned earlier, these are meant to be very quick, very simple sketches. So I'm not going into a ton of detail. I'm just mixing techniques like cross-hatching. I didn't really do any kind of blending or smudging with my fingers or tortillons or anything like that. But I did some blocky shading and I did some cross-hatching on, I think it was just one of the pigs. Yeah, it was the pig in the hay. And I'm only using 2 pencils. So my lazy technique for pencil drawing is just to use one that is very hard, which makes it lighter, and then one that is very soft, which makes it darker. And then sometimes I'll throw in like a medium ground, but normally I'll just do 2. If I'm kind of feeling lazy or it's just a quick sketch, basically I'm starting out with that light pencil, which is the really hard one. I think in this situation I'm using an H or an F, which is really, really light, and I just start out with that for the sketch or some light shading, normally both, and then I'll go in with the soft pencil to add in those darks for details or heavy shadows. If you're enjoying this video though, and I really hope you are, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll go ahead and quit yapping. I think at this point it's just going to be the outro, but if there's any time for it, I will pop in some music. Ooh, I can see what I'm doing here actually. I'm cutting them back out into the ACEOs, so I glued them on to scrapbook paper, like a cardstocky thick scrapbook paper, to give them that backing that I told you about before. And then in this video, I'm using pencil to label it and show that it's a series. I think I called it the barnyard, and then I did like horse 1, 2, and 3, cow 1, 2, and 3, pig 1, 2, and 3. But for the 2 darker colors, it really doesn't show up. Oh, and then I also signed it in the corner in the back because they're so small. I didn't want to take up too much room and overwhelm it with my signature. And also some of the TikToks I watched mentioned that they didn't like when the signature is on the front. But I'm probably going to go back over those labelings with either a ballpoint pen or a fine liner, just so it's actually visible. But yeah, now I'm done yapping. This time I promise. If you liked this video and you like my art, hopefully you like both. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to stay artsy. Bye, guys. Wait, is this one bigger than the rest? No, not really. It looks bigger. Maybe it's because it's in the center. I don't know. I've got to clean some of this up, actually. Hang on. Some of it got a little smudgy. I still need to seal them. I don't mind a little bit of smudge. It makes it feel a bit more handmade. I mean, it is handmade, but you know.